from Birmingham, England. This is Julia Childless alongside Pandemonium. Thank you for joining me, ma'am. This is going to be a crazy exciting bout.
Yes, I hear that the crowds are going to migrate up this end after the England bout is finished, and my goodness, it's going to get loud in here.
I think it really is, and obviously for those of you who saw Team USA do their warm-up bout with Finland this morning, they looked absolutely great. Scotland has been looking amazing for this tournament. They're just very hard-hitting. You know, they come out swinging really hard for everything. So USA, I know, said they were feeling pretty tight and pretty warmed up and ready to go. So this should be a very, very exciting thing to see today here in Birmingham, and for those of you streaming at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Scotland had the slight disadvantage of losing one of the blockers, blockers that I think made quite an impact yesterday. Porky, he's out with a knee injury.
Oh, no.
So we're going to see if that has an effect on how they're getting on, but they have really strong jammers and pretty tight walls, so we'll see what kind of damage they can do to the USA team.
And they're definitely a pretty hard-hitting team, I've been noticing during this tournament. So Linky Gray on Twitter, very excited for this, and I'd like to do a little personal shout out to all the leagues that these gentlemen come from. They're kind of, you know, my big brother home leagues, and really excited. Everybody's been really supportive of what I do, and so love to all of the men's roller derby in the U.S. out there watching right now, including my current home league, Bridgetown, and my regular home league, the Magic City Misfits. So thank you to all of you guys, and thank you to everybody who's hit that donate button and who's helped out and who's been watching on the stream. I know the stream is free, and we really appreciate all the people who've hit that donate button and just sent a couple of bucks or, you know, krona or pounds or however it is you do that in your country. And that all goes to the facility here and to get the guys here and home and to make sure everybody's safe and happy and take care of everybody. So if you're on the feed and you want to hit that donate button, we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And of course, you're from here, Panda, correct? So you're actually at home.
Yeah. We are just about to get started.
Got a little shot of Team USA there.
I'm really excited.
Mr. Binkley talking to Sugar Boots.
Anthem of the United States of America.
And now we are going to pause for the national anthem.
Remain standing now for the Scottish national anthem.
Okay, we are back. It is a little bit loud in this room, just to let you know.
The Scottish fans, I think, are the loudest in the venue.
For those of you who didn't see that on the feed and who are not in this room, it was miraculous. All the Scots right across from us started singing the Scottish national anthem and waving the flag, and some of the guys in line I could see were getting teary and really overcome with emotion. So
beautiful moment.
It's quite fantastic. We got some handshaking and shoulder patting happening on the line, and I am having a tough time hearing anything in this room.
Oh my goodness, this is so loud.
So Duff and Jonathan R. up to the line.
Up against Duff.
We're gonna try and give you a quick run through of some rosters here as we're going. Scott Slamilton, number 100, Becker 12, 19 Streak 20, Wyatt 21, Ackles 23, Quadzilla LK 3, Peter Pan 3, 158 Stang. 4, Just the Tip, 6, Jonathan R, 66, Sugar Boots, 82, Percy Control, 9, Frank Not So Hatra, and L7 Magnum, PIMP for US.
Okay, the Scottish team got 101 Matheson, 1664 Cronenberg, 18 Tequila Jammer, 19 Judy Jam, 2D Nuke Jukum, 39 Duff, 42 Dead Hardy, 5 Dreddy Mercury, 57 Jaffa Skates, 8 Porky, he's not actually with us today, 802 Red Baron, 9 Wigdid, 976 The Real Scrim Shady, and SL710.
Ah, Panda, we are on a roll now, I think. So right off the bat, we have a really hard-hitting, fast-moving bout happening. Jonathan R picking up lead jammer and already picking up several points on his way through, and we have a trip up with the ref and with Duff as Duff is backing up, but it looks like everything is okay there, and Duff caught in behind some of the USA blockers there.
I think Metal Ed taking a tumble on the inside there. He's going to be sore this evening for that. The referees don't get very much in the way of blocking in.
So Magnum backing way up, forcing Scotland's number 39 to come in behind him. That's going to be Duff once again.
Yeah, recycling towards the rear of the pack.
Looks like Jonathan R getting tangled up with number 8 for, looks like Porky there. Oh, excuse me. Yep, Porky the Penetrator.
Oh, he is skating with us.
Oh, yeah, looks like his knee might be feeling a little bit better. We'll try and get you an update on that, but he is headed to the penalty box for that tangle, and that first jam is out of our way, and we are on to the rest of this bout.
So the Real Scrim Shady now lining up for the Scottish team, who are playing in the blue jerseys.
We've got Milton Keynes cheering for Team Scotland out there. He sends a special hello out to Nuke Jukum.
Thanks for joining us, MK Rollers.
Real Slim Shady caught in behind number 3 from US, Streak, having a tough time, and it looks like already number 9 from Team USA zipping to the front, Frank Not So Hatra. 979, the Real Scrim Shady out of the pack and on to his final destination, and Frank Not So Hatra calling off that jam before he can make it.
The crowd going absolutely mental as soon as he exited the engagement zone. Even though it wasn't lead jammer, they're just happy that he's out and not stuck in there behind any of the US skaters. Nuke Jukum now lining up in the blue for Team Scotland. Scott Slamilton lining up for Team USA in the white.
Scott Slamilton coming around the inside, trying to force his way past Team Scotland, and he does manage to squeeze through, picking up lead jammer. Magnum PIMP on the outside with Quadzilla trying to block Scotland's jammer as they come through, and he gets a big push out from Magnum, and he can't force his way through that wall. That's trying to see the number there, I'm sorry, 2D.
Ackles number 21 on his way to the penalty box for what looked like an out of play penalty. I couldn't work out quite what it was.
I think you're right there, and so Nuke Jukum finally breaking through and coming around to get close to Scott Slamilton, getting a little jammer on jammer defense going on there as Scott turns around, and it looks like he was just waiting for Magnum PIMP to jump out of the woodwork, but Magnum picking up the penalty for that, and so he will head to the penalty box.
So now trying to see Zero was just going to go for Quadzilla, but decided to hold off for a second. Is he coming around? With the Only 3 of the blockers on the track at the moment. Porky's still sitting in the penalty box. Nuke Jukum now coming home behind Scott and facing off in turn 1. Not going to get very far out of that. Off the track on the outside, needing to recycle back in behind. Taking a tumble to the inside of the track. And again being recycled as the pack comes round. He's going to look like they're possibly going to get swallowed back into the front of the pack there.
Yeah, the ref, of course, indicating that that is incorrect, and it looks like he's going to be sending him off.
Scott Slamilton calling it off as Porky rejoins the pack.
So Scott Slamilton forcing that penalty on Nuke Jukum from Scotland and forcing this power jam with TJ Binkley on the line.
Okay, we are 5 minutes into this game between Team Scotland and Team USA. Scotland, no points on the board so far. USA ahead on 34. Julia.
Kalamazoo men's roller derby all the way from the U.S. giving a shout out to Team USA via the Twitter feed. If you have something to say to us via Twitter, we would love to hear from you. Men's Roller Derby World Cup MRDWC on the Twitter feed.
Make sure you use the hashtag. We might not receive your tweets otherwise.
TJ
Binkley now ahead of the lead jammer for the USA.
Binkley doing his very stylistic mosey up to the line and then fake everybody out move that he does so well, and he does manage to pull that off, and he is through, and it looks like Team USA is almost stopping the pack for him, forcing Scotland to chase him and then come back and reform the pack. So Binkley kind of on his own there, but signaling to his team if he needs help.
He looks like he's just bouncing between the skaters and that wall up against the blue at the front, but not managing to get him down, keeping up there. 5 more points on the board, and he calls it off.
Well, this is a very hard offensive play to counter. You can't really go anywhere if you're Scotland. You can't move away from the pack, but you can't really force USA to move with you, and so you do risk that penalty pretty badly if you don't actually come back, and so they do have to let him go, and it's a very frustrating thing for a team to do, and very effective.
Okay, so Jonathan R lining up on the jammer line for Team USA, and number 24 for the Scottish team. And that is 2D, sorry, it's Nuke Jukum. He is now standing, so he's going to re-enter the track.
USA once again slowing everything down. Wyatt signaling to Corey Ackles to pull Percy Control and Quadzilla up closer to him and put up a wall for Nuke Jukum to run into. Meanwhile, leaving a ton of space on the outside for Jonathan R to come whipping around the corner. That was so beautifully executed. Scotland trying to chase him down, but not able to catch him.
Jonathan R already on his 3rd scoring pass now, and Nuke Jukum still struggling to break through that initial pass.
Jonathan R up on one skate on the inside, manages to stay inside, gets pushed out by Scotland and has to come back around, but still managing to stay in. Once again getting pushed out by number 9 on Scotland, WKD'd.
So we have Red Baron taking a seat in the penalty box. Not sure what that penalty was for, but he has been followed by Jaffa Skate, so they're going to be 2 blockers short on the track now. Not good news for Scotland as it stands. Jonathan R coming through, nipping around on the inside, picking up another 5 points for the Grand Slam. Percy Control now on his way to the penalty box for Team USA.
Jonathan R looks like he just pushed his way through, kind of. He just put his hands in there and said, excuse me, came through.
Still no points on the board for Team Scotland. The USA ahead, 73 points. We are just 9 minutes into the first period in this bout.
Right, and for those of you watching yesterday, we did those short half-hour seeding bouts to sort of place everybody where they were supposed to be. Today we are doing full regulation bouts. Full 30 minutes, everything's the same, and we are working under the old rule set and not the brand new rule set. So for those of you wondering about that as well, we thought it would be easier to work under the old rule set.
March, it's been released in March, and we're in March, so it's a little bit too close to call for that.
Although I have heard really good things about it, so it's going to be fun to see it.
Exciting.
We got number 9, Frank Not-So-Hatra, former speed skater for the Olympic team. Apex jump by Frank Not-So-Hatra as he whizzes around the track.
showing off those excellent footwork skills. The crowd do like an apex jump. And if Team Scotland get a few in, then they're definitely going to be,
It's going to be loud in here. I know when Team USA played Wales yesterday, the 2 points that Wales scored was the loudest it has been the entire tournament so far.
I wasn't even in the building, and I heard that. Ooh,
oh, a huge hit from Streak on number 18 from Scotland. My goodness, that was huge.
Tequila Jammer. His head looked like he bobbed quite a bit on the way down there. My goodness. He might be feeling that later on. There he is out. And the crowd is going nuts. But Team USA cutting it short and calling it off.
But great for Team Scotland. They're breaking free. They're getting their groove, so they're finally starting to figure out how to break down those USA walls that are up, and that's a good feeling for them when you start to figure out how to do that, and now they can start working on that as a team and breaking down those walls.
I've noticed this with with Team Wales as well against Canada. They started to just inch a little bit further and further. They were getting out of the pack a little bit more, and then there was a couple of times the lead jammer was coming around as well. So we're yet to see that with Team Scotland, but hopefully it's going to go the same way, and they're going to get some points on the board today.
Stutter Jam trying hard to get his team's help on the outside to get through, not quite making it, running right into Quadzilla. And TJ Binkley and Corey Ackles on the outside, but it looks like he's going to have to recycle to the back. And Scott Slamilton rolling around the outside, picking up lead jammer. Looks like no pass, no penalty there. 4 points for Scott Slamilton.
Duff trying to hold the line up at the front there, but not managing to keep it on his own, so he's joined up the front by Freddie Mercury. Scott
Slamilton getting a big push from Quadzilla on his way through. And so looks like Wyatt, Magnum, and Quad up against Freddie Mercury here, and Matheson.
Matheson, one of the taller of the Scottish blockers.
Matheson being spun around by Scott Slamilton. He saw him and just wasn't quite able to make contact with him, and so Scotland trying to reform their wall. Magnum, PIMP, headed to the penalty box.
Matheson taking a knee towards the outside there, coming back in, holding the back line with Duff. Trying desperately to break up some holes in that USA defense to try and get Jammer through. Still struggling up at the front there. Completely solid walls the USA are throwing up at the front of the pack.
I know that when I spoke to Team USA before they came, they'd been working a lot on forming solid walls that they could move around quite a bit, and that really strong defense, they wanted to work extra hard on that. A lot of teams work on a lot of offense because that's the point scoring section of your league, but it's, your defense is so important in this game since you're playing them simultaneously.
Some fancy footwork there as Scott Hamilton exits the pack with a beautiful pirouette and pulls the jam off, picking up another 5.
Scott Slamilton, of course, former figure skater, roller skater, figure skater, and so he's got that kind of background in him, which helps with those spins and things like that he shows us.
You see this with, I think, a lot of the American Canadian players as well. And Stay Puffed says, "Hi, announcers. Thanks for checking in. It's so cool to have you guys joining us today."
Des Moines Roller Derby Dames sending love to their coach, number 3, Peter Pan, from Your Mom Men's Roller Derby in Des Moines. Hello, ladies. I'm glad you're out there watching.
Binkley now all the way around on turn 3. Trying to force the recycle from Dead Hardy all the way back. USA once again picking up lead jammer. And Scotland have got their pivot on the way to the penalty box. 0. It's going to be sitting for a minute.
TJ Binkley coming around as lead jammer, like you said. Oh my goodness. Sugar Boots taking on number 42, Dead Hardy, and Dead Hardy picking up that penalty.
It was a back block that sent him to the penalty box. Scotland are going to be a little bit devastated about that.
That's a tough one. Sugar Boots is a really tall dude, and it is so easy for him to draw those kinds of penalties on other players because of that. Dead Hardy, a pretty short but really stocky guy, and so...
Yeah. So we're going to see Jonathan R taking on this Power Jam for Team USA. We have just over 16 minutes left in this period, this first period. We are playing a full bout now. And Scotland still yet to score. The USA ahead on 107 points.
Jonathan R. doing a little bullying with number 18 there, Tequila Jammer, and forcing his way through the inside of the pack. It looked like it was a little bit harder that time for him to get there, so Tequila making him work for it.
Making it look very easy as he's just passed it on the track as if it's a lazy Sunday. Lazy Saturday.
That's how you make it look good. Number 18, Tequila, taking on Jonathan R. Nice job there, blocking Jonathan R. and catches his leg on the way through. Quadzilla managing to hold him up, and he makes it through, but not without its struggle. Team Scotland not letting him get away with anything easily here. Number 101 taking on Jonathan R. at the back.
Yeah, we're starting to see a fight coming out of the Scottish team now. Power of Scotland really starting to throw up that power in the pack. Pack's really well spread across the track now on this trial, calling it.
Looks like we have some spacing happening. The guys are looking for that, and of course managing to draw that penalty. Number 18, Tequila Jammer, headed to the penalty box. Jonathan R. making a struggle around the outside, looking very tired.
He just picked up the 4 points in that last pass. It was no pass, no points, as they passed on the inside, but he wasn't alone, so he didn't pick up the penalty for that. So just a quick shout out to Roller Derby City. This jam is brought to you by Roller Derby City, the Europe's largest supplier of roller derby kit and merch.
And the final score for that previous bout on the other track, England 388, Australia 138. So those of you keeping score at home, that is England 388, Australia 138.
So we've got the real scrim shady now lining up for Team Scotland, really struggling to make it through the back walls of the pack. Team USA already.
Once again, Frank Not-So-Hatra for Team USA out on the track. Never looks like he gets tired.
I think a lot of these guys look up to the American teams for their stamina. These guys have played roller derby for a long time.
Well, they all come from a sports background, which is a lot of how that happens. You know, Frank Not-So-Hatra, obviously I mentioned before, former speed skater. You have a lot of former jam skaters, former hockey players, guys that are used to playing a lot of heavy sports and doing a lot of that activity daily, and so that's where that comes from.
Sugar Boots just making his way to the penalty box. So 3 versus 3 on the track for the blockers.
Team Scotland working on a wall for Frank Not-So-Hatra as he comes through. Streak able to break that up on the right-hand side along with Nicholas Becker.
Tequila. Sorry. Jody Jam taking Peter Pan out at the front of the pack there with a shoulder check.
There's so much going on here, it's hard for us.
It is really hard to hear, even with the earphones on. The Scottish crowd with their drums as well. 5-point pick up there and called off.
I'm really appreciating that you're seeing all these things, because there is a lot. For those of you not in this room, there's a lot happening in these packs right now. They're coming through, and you know, everybody's doing something and everybody's moving, and it looks like a swarm of bees practically inside these packs. So we're both trying to look for different things, and it is, these guys are moving very quickly. Incredible.
I mean, and we tend to always see fast packs whenever the American guys are around. They will push it. So Scott Slamilton now jamming from Team USA. They're holding back, trying to break that pack up and forcing the penalties on the Scottish team.
Scott Slamilton, one final push, and he will pick up lead jammer for that. The real scrim shady back out of the penalty box. Oh, Team Scotland giving him a place on the outside. He almost makes it. They're working on trying to get him some more space. He runs into Quadzilla into the crowd. Quadzilla backing it up, trying to force him, almost falling on his toe stop. Managing to hold it on the outside on one toe stop without cutting the track, and Scott Slamilton lifting up one foot and zinging around the inside for his 5 points.
Makes it look so effortless with the stepping over the inside lines. Doesn't always have to be an apex jump. A step could do it if there's just one skate in the way.
Still a pretty impressive move.
That is a really solid wall. At the back now, the Scottish team doing a phenomenal job holding it back on that outside line.
Percy Control pushing out the jammer with a little butt bump there that he does. And Percy Control, one of those really strong blockers for St. Louis, because he's so quiet and so calm, and you just never know that he's there until he hits you.
Yeah, absolutely. almost trying to take out the Scottish pivot there, but not quite managing to get the hit in. He managed to just lean back ever so slightly and avoid it. I think it was a charge rather than a block.
And I have to say, I don't know about the other teams as much, but I have to say what I'm really enjoying about this tournament is seeing, you know, all these different styles, these teams I announce for so frequently and know really well, and all these styles that they bring with them and how they're meshing so well with each other and how they're incorporating into each other's styles. I just think it's a really cool thing to see, and I'm sure the other teams are doing the same thing.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, like the crowd are bringing as well, the fans that come in from all over the world. What an incredible, incredible atmosphere.
TJ Binkley on the outside, picking up lead jammer. He's going to come around 19 and SR71 setting up their wall. That's Thunder Jam and Zero that are setting up their wall for Scotland.
Screaming going on behind us.
We have excited officials behind us too, so it's... There's a lot of excitement. And we got Streak and Juke Newcomb both headed to the penalty box. TJ Binkley kind of oblivious to what's going on in the pack. He's just kind of doing his laps, doing his thing, picking up his points, you know.
He's trusting his teammates just to sort that out for him and find him a few gaps. And the Scottish Wall putting up a good effort through the back there.
Big hit on TJ Binkley from Dreddy Mercury. Man, he is a big guy.
These three guys at the back of the pack now, incredibly strong walls that we're seeing from them, and they're very similar in stature. And Cronenberg is out of the pack. The crowd is going nuts. They are so thrilled. But Team USA once again cutting it short, calling the jam off. They are ruthless at this point.
Cronenberg, though, managing to break through that wall, absolutely wonderful. And he did make it, and they did call off the jam, but we know that Scotland can break those walls, so that's really good for Scotland to know, and it's a really good feeling for their team that they can jump ahead like that and work on that as a team.
Okay, with just over 9 minutes left on the PB clock, we have a team timeout has been called. And
we would like to thank Fast Girl Skates. Their knowledgeable staff represents all facets of roller derby, WIFTA, USARS, MRDA, JRDA, and Bank Track. They can relate and have what you need. Largest selection on skates and gear for everyone. Women, men's, juniors, it's all about you. Fast Girl Skates, serving skaters of all shapes and sizes since 2007. www.fastgirlstates.com.
Thanks, Julia. We've got a Mexican wave going on around the crowd right now, and it's the first ones that we've seen. That got caught up with me then as well. The mood just took me. All right, Team USA now coming back from the timeout onto the track. My goodness, this is electric. We're not even on to the final day of competitions yet, and tomorrow is going to be insane. What an incredible atmosphere. We are seeing Porky the Penetrator jamming for the first time.
Team Scotland looking like they're setting up a rugby scrum over here. Honestly, that's what it's looking like. It's quite fantastic. Porky on the jam, running directly into Corey Ackles. Corey doing his best to hold him back and does manage to push him out. Magnum PIMP backing him up all the way to the back.
Porky is predominantly a blocker and a very, very strong force for Team Scotland as well. And he has got...
It looks a lot like maybe he clipped his knee again, because he looks like he's limping just a little bit from my point of view.
Yeah, he has had some knee trouble. It took him out of some games yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how he gets on. But Team USA now with another 5-point pass.
Jonathan R. coming around the outside, running right up against that Scotland scrum wall, backs it up just a little bit, comes at it again. They do need to let him go. Team USA backing up, and it looks like they're talking about what their next move is going to be. Meanwhile, we have a penalty on number 9 from Scotland.
As WKD'd on his way to the penalty box. Nuke Jukum was holding up that...
So it looks like Porky's going to serve 2 minutes. He got a cut, and then there was an insubordination call. So he'll be in the box for 2 minutes. He'll be a player short for a while.
I think the insubordination is something that we can see sometimes. He does tend to have a little bit of a temper when he struggles to accept the call that's been made. Scotland still yet to score. USA ahead on 107 points on the board. I think the scoreboard in-house has changed compared to what you're seeing, but not able to make it out from here, so I'll feed back to you as soon as I can see.
Yeah, it looks like we have somebody standing in front of the scoreboard, so we'll try and get you that updated score. Sugar Boots, meanwhile, number 66, headed to the penalty box as Frank Not-So-Hatra circles the track as your lead jammer. Looks like 235-0, the current score on the board, up 240 now.
Just a little bit less than 7
It changes
minutes.
just like that, right?
And this is such a high and fast scoring game so far. The USA just racking up those points, just picking them up like pennies.
Well, and you know, it's one of those things. I've talked to a lot of the guys, and some of these are, you know, pretty big point spreads. And but what I love is the camaraderie that's happening in this room. There's a lot of people that have gone out and done workshops before and after this tournament, a lot of learning that's happening, and a lot of people who are involved in MIRTA making that league better. And I think it's going to, in a few years, it's going to be absolutely amazing to have all of these teams together in this league and working together as a group. And in a couple of years, this tournament's going to be amazing to see Frank Not-So-Hatra once again picking up 5 more points, calling off that jam.
We're talking about the tournament as it is for the inaugural Men's Roller Derby World Cup. We've come in with an absolute bang, and moving forward from here, the bar has been set, and this is an incredible status that this tournament has already on its first year in action. So from here on in, we're going to be seeing great things, and the roller derby is going to be spreading throughout the world, and the men's teams are going to be getting a lot of hype moving forward.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Jaffa Skates now jamming for the Power of Scotland. Struggling to break through those back walls. Knock to the infield, needs to recycle towards the rear of the pack behind Team USA.
Percy Control backing way up on Jaffa Skates, forcing him to the back, and then he runs right into the side of Corey Ackles, who forces him into the crowd. It looks like he's down and hurt. I'm going to find out here what happened. It looks like he might have gotten like an elbow to the chest or something like that. So they're going to call off that jam and see.
Let's make sure he's okay. It looks like it just could have been a little bit winded.
Yeah, he might have just gotten an elbow or a shoulder to the chest, and that can be a little bit of a shock to your system.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some of the hits that we're seeing here today. The guys are just bouncing off of each other. Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
The Men's Roller Derby Association, we were just talking about, would like to wish all the teams competing in the Men's Roller Derby World Cup the best of luck. The MRDA is the international governing body for men's flat track roller derby and wants you to join them in the growing world of men's roller derby. For more information about joining and the benefits of being part of the MRDA, visit them at mensrollerderbyassociation.com.
All right, back to the track. We have Tequila, number 18, jamming for Power of Scotland. Still struggling to break through that back wall, though. He's going to be stuck on that initial pass as Binkley comes through, scoring another 5 points.
Corey Ackles, it looks like, in the penalty box. Oh, no, maybe that's Nick Becker. I apologize.
Ooh, Binkley getting squished in between the Power of Scotland skaters as he comes through the back there. They're managing to find quite a spacious gap on the inside line. And we're seeing recycling happening again. Tequila Jammer struggling still to break through that back line. He's having a really hard time with it in this jam. Now, he's being recycled again. The pack has hardly moved off of the initial straightaway between the pivot line and the jammer line. Freddie Mercury now back on track.
Tequila trying to get through this wall at the back, not quite able to break his way through. Sugar Boots and Nick Becker forcing him out of play.
WKD now sitting in penalty box for the Power of Scotland, so they're going to be a blocker short. Just the one, though.
The real Scrim Shady and on the line, and this jam will be brought to you by GB EMS, the only UK RDA endorsed medical team. They are doing a great job here. this weekend.
They all have their own derby names as well, which I think is really
I love
cool.
that. Well, we've had a number of, a number of pretty severe injuries that have happened this weekend already, and they've done an amazing job, triaging that and taking care of the guys. We really appreciate that. Quadzilla headed to the penalty box as Jonathan R. loops the track as lead jammer. Looks like there's a lot of pushing and shoving. Corey Ackles and Magnum PIMP. Oh! Jutter jam going after Jonathan R. Making contact, but not able to knock him off his skates. He will rejoin the pack as he tries to help the real Scrim Shady zip through that pack, and it looks like the USA is spread way out, so Scrim Shady trying to take them on one at a time, and he is nearly through Corey Ackles. Oh, he's through the pack. Wonderful.
You can hear the crowd going crazy. That beautiful bit of footwork at the front of the pack there, juking through. Oh my goodness. The crowd were really enjoying that jam. It was quite tough.
Well, this is a great indication of how important that lead jam status is when you're working on roller derby. And I talked to a number of ref friends about this and things like that, and they say, you play a clean game and you stay out of the penalty box and you get lead jammer, and that's the best way to win a bout. And in the most simplistic terms, it really is. That lead jammer is so important, and that's one of the problems that Scotland is running into, is that if they were getting lead jammer more often, they would control that jam.
Oh my goodness, he was so close to the front of the pack there, not to the outside. Oh, the crowd was so far behind him then. It was unbelievable. He didn't quite manage to make it. Still struggling on turn 2. Being recycled yet again back into turn 1. But a forearms penalty now sending USA Jammers to the penalty box.
Power jam, Scotland. And he is going to struggle with Team USA here. They're going to try and keep him back, but he is very close to the front of the pack at this point, so he is going to jump back in and give it a whirl.
Is he going to spend that minute breaking through to complete his initial pass?
There he goes!
He is out! But a cut track penalty sending him to the penalty box. Oh my goodness. We're going to see a switch in the penalty box. Jammer in, jammer out.
Quadzilla once again headed to the penalty box right behind him, and so Power Jam Scotland not able to be successful. Frank Natsahatra back out of the penalty box, picking up 5 points. So Scotland not quite able to capitalize on that Power Jam.
And it's not often that we're seeing penalties on the USA Jammers. So we might not see a jam like that again this period, or at all actually in this period, because we are very close to half time. See what the second period brings.
Brett Stang and Streak at the back of that pack trying to work on closing up the gap for Duff, and they are talking to Sugar Boots as they try and sort out how they want to do that. A big wall of Scotland right up at the front. There are some big guys in that space, and so they're going to reposition and try and see if they can make that a little easy. Porky the Porkinator going to go after them, and he is not able to make contact, so they're going to call that off. Scotland's jammer just revving up the audience opposite the track from us.
My goodness. So going into the halftime, Scotland still yet to score.
But still a very exciting bout. I mean, the crowd is really revved up, and both of these teams are working extremely hard. And I know I've seen all these guys play, and this is not an easy bout for USA. They are having to struggle and push and calculate and work really hard to get past Scotland. So Scotland is not making this easy for them and doing an amazing job.
No, and I don't for any minute think that the USA have come into this with any complacency. So we are going to get wrapped up for half time now.
So we're going to pay some bills quick, and we'll see you at the next half.
Power Jam!
Okay, we are back on the third game at a halftime. A couple of quick updates for you. Jonathan R. did go out with an injury right at the end. He got an elbow to the face, it looked like, and so he's totally fine. They got him a little ice. Porky, the penetrator, who had a hurt knee yesterday, wrapped it up, got it looked at by the medic, got cleared to skate. He did bruise it pretty badly, but he says he's feeling pretty good and enjoying skating against Team USA. And then we had a big hit in the first half where he had the wind knocked out of him a little bit, and he says he feels fine. He did sit out for a jam just to sort of re-catch his breath, but he says he feels absolutely fine now, and the Team USA hits pretty hard. So we know that. We're going to get the guys lined back up. We were just talking, Panda and I, during our off on the halftime about the beginning of men's roller derby, and it looks like there's probably at least 4 or 5 people in this room now that were at the very first men's roller derby bout ever, right?
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
How long ago was that?
It was in April of '07, the very first men's roller derby bout between Pioneer Valley and the New York Stock Exchange. We have Townsend, Jonathan R., Abe Drinkin, the Rev, who's skating for Canada right now, all here in the building skating this weekend, who were in that first bout and played at that first bout. And there was something like, 10 people in the audience watching that bout. And if you want to know more about that, I definitely recommend you catch This Is How I Roll, produced by one of the guys from the Stock Exchange. And it is an amazing documentary about the beginning of men's roller derby. So catch that if you can. It's out on DVD right now.
What an awesome film that is.
Hey, Panda, what do we got going on in front of us?
Oh, so Heliverance working the crowd up, running his way through. I think he's hoarse already.
He's officiating my wedding next week.
Excellent. So we're going to be starting with Conenberg on the jabber line for the Power of Scotland. And Jonathan R. for Team USA. Trying to break that wall side on, getting the shoulder in there to try and force that wedge through those walls. Scottish walls really, really tight up at the front of the pack now.
Quadzilla rejoining the pack after his penalty. Leg over from that first half. Jonathan R. breaking free. Conenberg still trying to get around the outside there and not quite able to make it. Koriaklis putting up a front block for him. Jonathan R. giving the crowd his famous thumbs up.
Just taking a step over. The block is at the front there, making it look really easy. Conenberg still struggling up at the front there. Quadzilla keeping an eye on where he's at, having the control with the pivot helmet cover on there.
Percy controlling Quadzilla, putting up a great wall and letting Jonathan R. through while keeping Scotland's wall broken up.
So Dreddy Mercury's just made his way to the penalty box for a out-of-play block.
Jonathan R. rolling around the inside past Jaffa skates in 0. Trying to force him up, but not quite able to. Conenberg coming up against Percy control, not able to knock him off his skates. And Koriaklis losing his footing, but still able to keep the jammer out. And Jonathan R. coming up against a pretty decent wall from Scotland. And oh, they push him out on the outside, and they're going to back him way up, and he's just going to call off that jam.
He decided not to take the bait on that one, just in case. He thought, well, I've got the advantage of having lead jammer.
Well, exactly, and he can just do that and reset and put in Scott Slamilton then.
All right, Nuke Jukum, 2D, lining up for the Power of Scotland.
So the person that wins this bout will play Canada at 11:30 tomorrow morning. So Team Canada crawling up the ranks, did a great job yesterday that I saw. They were crowd favorite and doing an awesome job. So tune in at 11:30 to catch the winner of this bout playing Team Canada.
So Nuke Jukum still stuck in the pack, trying to complete his initial pass. Frank Not So Hotra through already on a scoring pass.
Oh, and that is a track cut call on Nuke Jukum, headed to the penalty box. What a shame there for Team Scotland. He is going to be joined by Matheson.
I don't know if you could see it on the feed, but his face was deadpan on the way on the outside. He knew it. He knew what had happened. He's just got to suck it up and sit for the minute. Yeah,
and it's such an easy mistake to make. You're trying to struggle with that pack. You're not watching what you're doing and where your feet are, and it's so easy to step over that line. So.
Absolutely. Even though the boundaries do have a raised bit of rope inside them, so you can feel a little bit of a bump as you go over with your wheels, you're not always aware of that happening, especially if it's a step rather than a roll.
Oh, definitely, and there's so much going on in those packs. Frank Not So Hotra coming around the track. A big shout out to the guys behind Derby Bayou. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Scottish. They're doing their Derby scores in Bayou. Yes, okay. I have a wonderful producer to my left here feeding me this great information about how to pronounce things in Gaelic. So the Derby scores are in Scots Gaelic if you tune into their Twitter feed, and thank you for that. This is awesome. We have people speaking all different languages here this weekend and helping to spread the word of Derby in different places. Frank Natsohatra once they're in, coming around for 5 more points. Ooh. Oh, beautiful job there by Nuke Jukum on the outside, trying to give a little hop and not quite able to make it.
And he's through, breaking that front line. The crowd going crazy. Hot on his wheels, pulling it off, not managing to pick up any. If he was just a second further ahead, then he could have picked up 1 point before that 4th whistle.
Boy, Nuke Jukum, you can see why the U.S. is trying to keep him back. He is fast. Once he broke that line, he was gone in a second.
These guys are like slingshots out of the front of the pack because they want it so badly.
Good heavens.
They want to get some of those points on the board before we end this game.
Well, and what a terrifying thought to have him as lead jammer and have him zing out of the pack like that. He'd had 20 points in so short a time. He was so fast when he came out of that pack.
And it looks, he's knocked on the outside now. Oh, a shame.
Looks like another track cut called on Scotland. The real scrim shady jammer headed to the penalty box. So power jam for Team USA happening. Oh, looks like we have another penalty being called. Number 57 and number 18, Tequila, for Scotland. And they are, it looks like another penalty for Scotland, but he's going to have to pass it up. 39 Duff, he's going to have to bypass the penalty box and come back to it later. So Scotland picking up a ton of penalties here in this 30 seconds while Scott Slamilton circles the track.
My goodness, they are going to be queued up for that penalty box. They're going to be, if they're not fielded, they're going to be fielded in the next jam if they have penalty queues, so that once the box becomes free for those blocker seats, that they just return and serve them in it. Duff now holding up the Scottish defense on his own at the back of the pack. Red Baron on his way around the track. Back on, still looking to try and work out if he's got to go and sit in the penalty box yet. But no, the real scrim shady now coming back to the back on the pack, looking for breaking on through on the inside line. Not managing to get it. The defense absolutely strong as anything up at the front there. The American team not letting him through. So both of the Scottish blockers that are on the track are queued for the penalty box at the moment. So we're going to be just seeing a swap out of the box. Once one's out, one's going to be back in. Jaffa Skates trying to hold up that front line now, taking a knee as Tequila falls on his butt at the front of the pack there. I think they're trying to crane their necks to have a look at what's going on, and incidentally tripping themselves up a little bit. No points apiece in that last pass.
So just to show you how international Derby is, we have a Derby player from Canada, expat living in Switzerland, the dubious Hausfrau, and she is coaching the Swiss women's team and watching the men's team play here. And so she's from Canada in Switzerland, coaching a Swiss team from Canada. And wow, we've got people from everywhere playing Derby everywhere.
You see, we've had the far reaches of the planet, people joining us this weekend. I mean, the Australians have come from over 4,000 kilometers away. I'm not entirely sure how that translates into miles, but and the Japanese team as well traveled a huge way. So now we're looking at the USA have passed the 400-point mark there, and 403 points to Scotland still yet to score.
And we still have 23 minutes left in this bout. If you'd like to see the semifinals, they're going to be starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. France versus England tomorrow for the first semifinal bout of this tournament, and I think tomorrow is going to be an extremely exciting day.
It is going to be. We're going to be raising the roof on Birmingham, I think. It's going to be incredibly loud and incredibly high energy. the skaters are all going to be completely pumped. If they're not tired already, they will be tomorrow evening.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And you can already see that a lot of these players are just, this is a lot of derby in a couple of days for people. And so I know that they're trying to take it easy and work on some of that stuff. Green Monster Roller Sports, one of our big sponsors, all new. Visit them today at GRNMNSTR. I'll say that again, GRNMNSTR, Green Monster Roller Sports, big sponsor of today's event.
Yeah, of course, we've got Quadzilla playing in this team, so he's representing the Green Monster.
He is the man to see. If you're enjoying listening, and drop us a few dollars or quids or however you guys do your currency where you are in your awesome country that's representing here this weekend. And like I said, the venue gets a lot of this. We pay for the space, we pay for the equipment and the crews to work, we pay to try and help get the guys back and forth, and those all go to a good cause. So all of that money goes directly to Derby. If you can't be here, pop a couple of bucks into that donate box while you're watching.
Absolutely. Thanks, Julia. If you're watching and wondering what's going on now, we had an official timeout just to go over a few different points. Might be able to feed back to you what's gone on there in a few moments.
And just to give you guys an idea of how this is working, we have announcer refs that just collect information. They're actual refs who it's their job to collect information from the track refs. We have a producer over here who gives us information that we're looking for. We have an on-floor producer. We have people working sound and working video. There are tons of people behind the scenes working very hard to make this event go smoothly, and we really appreciate that. TJ Binkley getting recycled behind number 8. What a great job there for Scotland, and having to come back, but Corky unable to block him.
WKD jamming for Team Scotland. He's out of the pack. He's not lead jammer. The USA seem to have the foresight on that one, calling it off before he comes round to the back of the pack. The timeout there was just clarifying some of the penalty calls and doing a little bit of tidying up. I think the couple of jams before that, we had a lot of blockers in and out of the penalty box.
Yeah, and I think they just wanted to clear it up, make sure that everything was kosher and that those things were documented correctly. And like I said, we have a ton of people, including refs, who are doing an amazing job and trying hard to keep everything running smoothly and everything correct. So that's why everything is going so well on this end, and we really appreciate that.
Okay, so we're seeing Matheson donning the star helmet cover for the Scottish team now. Generally, he's been blocking throughout this bout.
Looks like we have a few players off the track, and so we're going to have a little mix-up here trying to figure out what's going on. Looks like Percy Control headed to the penalty box.
Ooh. Taken down on the inside of the track, denied by Quadzilla. Matheson now coming through. He has completed his initial pass. Are we going to manage to see some points on the board here? He's going to, looks like that's it. The American team pulling it, keeping an eye on where the Scottish jammers are, and then just waiting until they reach the back of the pack and calling it off. The crowd not too keen on that strategy, but hey, it works for the USA.
If you have a fantastic picture of you watching this tournament, or you would like to see a fantastic picture of somebody else watching the tournament, look us up on Instagram under MRDWC. That's MRDWC Men's Roller Derby World Cup out of Birmingham, England. And please share your photos of you enjoying the cup at home with your friends, or if you're here in the venue and you want to share some photos of us in the venue enjoying it, please do that. I know a lot of really fun pictures are up on the Instagram if you page through that right now.
Yeah, if you share your photos, you never know, it might end up onto the live stream. I know that I've had a couple of ones that I've done, taken a couple of cheeky selfies when I've been announcing, and they've made it onto there. So
we definitely need to get one of us before we leave this room.
Absolutely. So you can see our faces, and you might not want to see mine, but anyway, the beautiful Julia Childless next to me. Instead of just hearing our voices, you can see what we look like. I know I'm always interested to see what the announcers look like.
Well, I can definitely tell you that the lady to the right and the lady to the left of me are gorgeous women, and
oh, bless you.
We try and keep everybody here pretty happy. So we're all smiling and enjoying watching the fantastic athleticism of the gentlemen going on here in the building. It never, I've been doing this a lot of years, and it never fails to amaze me the level of athletic ability that happens in these leagues. It's just amazing to me to watch. what these guys do.
It is phenomenal. And I mean, we're seeing the best in the world here today.
Oh, and it's amazing. So that was a team timeout that we had going on, and now we're going to talk about some roller derby that's happening again.
Okay, so Dead Hardy jamming for the Scotland team, who are playing in the blue jerseys.
Frank Nato-Hatra getting a lot of pushing and shoving from Scotland as he comes through the pack, and another track cut called on Scotland. Number 42, Dead Hardy, jammer for Scotland in the penalty box. Power jam for Frank Nato-Hatra.
I mean, it's not really going to make much of a difference here to the USA team getting the power jam. They're out in front. They're going to keep racking up the points and just doing what they do. It seems it's quite routine for them in this bout now.
But it is really hurting Scotland to continue to get those penalties on their jammers, and that track cut penalty has really been hurting them for this bout. So I think that's probably one of the things they're going to want to sit and talk about as they come into their next bout with the next team.
Absolutely. So a slower pack moving through now. Bit of action with Red Baron up at the front there. He is way out of play in front of the pack there. You know, 20 feet in front and behind is the engagement zone. If you're ahead of that, you're out of play. If you're behind that, you're out of play. Frank Nato-Hatra picking up another 5 points. He looked like he was going to call it, but didn't. I think he changed his mind. I decided I'm gonna complete another scoring pass, pick up another 5. That's me done. Just over 19.5 minutes left in this second period of this bout. The USA ahead on 441 points. Scotland still yet to score. When that happens, if that happens, it is going to erupt in here.
It's going to be a lot louder in here than it was. It's going to be pretty amazing. And like I said, that Wales bout, when Wales scored those 2 points against Team USA, it was about the loudest I've heard it in this building, and
it's been pretty incredible. Okay, so you can see that line of blue up at the front there, doing a fantastic job.
Beautiful job there. A hit on Scott Slamilton from Scotland. Scott Slamilton coming out the outside of the track.
What they want to do now is waste as much time as possible to try and keep the jammer down so that they can get their own jammer back on the track.
Scott Slamilton taking on number 19 from Scotland up at the front. That is going to be Jetter Jam, and he is able to break through, but it was a rough go.
Dead Hardy now trying to make his way through the inside line, but knocked out, so he makes his way back, recycle towards the rear of the pack. Oh, and he's down on his knees on the inside there. Needs to make sure that he is recycling and doesn't get the cut track penalty. He's being very careful now where he's re-entering, ensuring that he goes right the way and has a bit of clearance towards the rear of the pack. Another 5 points on the board for Team Scotland as they come, Team USA, sorry.
Scott Slamilton.
Yeah, it's the Scot and the Scot. Yeah. It's confusing. So we're seeing Jetter Jam making his way to the penalty box.
Corey Ackles and Magnum PIMP working on Duke Jukum here at the back of the pack, facing us and doing a great job with that. Scott Slamilton getting a pull off of Magnum and coming around the outside. And he is going to call off that jam. And of course, adding some more points to the board as he does that. Team USA very proud to be sponsored this weekend by Vanilla Skate Company, RD Elite Series, Antic Skates, Atom Wheels, 888 Protective Gear, and Derby Skins Apparel. So thank you to those companies for making our gentlemen look very snazzy in their uniforms and gearing them up to be safe and healthy while they are here.
Absolutely. The team attire this weekend, the uniforms are just awesome. I think they look so professional. Oh,
and I think all the teams look great. You know, these teams
really
came geared up to play hard, and they're obviously being very well taken care of and working hard to get the money to be there. TJ Binkley looking like he's having a little trouble with his skates there, but managing to fix it on the run as he picks up lead jammer. Last time he came by, he flashed me one of those TJ Binkley smiles that he has, which was great. Looks like he's having a great time. And for those of you who want a fun fact about Mr. Binkley, he did not start out as a jammer. He started out as a blocker for the Magic City Misfits and did blocking for a long time until he decided to pick up jamming and worked just really focused on that for about a year and is loving it now, as far as I know. So just very casual jammer, very relaxed, very calculated, and he's going to come around and run right into the back of Zero and Duff, who are going to try and get him through, but Sugar Boots throwing that big butt block, as we call it, so out to make him that space.
Sorry, Tequila Jammer now making his way to the penalty box for a track cut penalty. It was a takedown on the outside, and he did re-enter. So
Zero going after Binkley, but realizing right as he was doing that he was out of play, so backing up to rejoin the pack, and Team USA keeping that pack moving very slow. Team Scotland doing a great job at blocking Binkley until Ackles comes out of nowhere and breaks that up. Excuse me, Sugar Boots comes out of nowhere and breaks that up, and so
Binkley shaking his head there as he was coming out. He was like, no chance. You're not taking me down.
Well, and when they had him blocked, it was a rough go for him. This up here is looking really hard. 39 Duff getting a big hit from Binkley on his way through, but that wall that we saw of Scotland was really putting up a fight, and so Binkley having to actually muscle his way through the rest of that jam.
Scotland seem to have a really, really good knowledge of each other's styles.
Definitely.
Even though they're coming from different leagues, different teams, coming together, their blocking is superb.
Well, and when you think about it, a lot of these teams, this is one of the first times they've ever played together as a team, and so to see this highest skill level after only practicing together a few times is really amazing.
Absolutely.
Jonathan R. coming around the inside, Corey Ackles trying to create him a space and able to do so. Magnum PIMP and Percy Control along with Wyatt blocking Tequila at the back of the pack as Jonathan R. comes around for another pass.
So Tequila joined us from the penalty box. Oh, taking a tumble on the outside, and my goodness, he had one of the Team USA skaters on top of him for a minute there.
Tequila, very wiry, very fast, very agile. But Wyatt there on the outside, a vicious blocker for the New York Stock Exchange. Just solid on his skates and really hard to get around.
Yeah, Tequila is, he's good when he can get low and find a hole. Took the, he went for the apex jump, but didn't quite make it and has another track cut penalty, sending him right back to the penalty box, so could possibly be ending this jam just as he started it.
And I'm really starting to worry about the Scotland penalties as they're building up here, and if anybody's getting into really serious penalty trouble, actually.
I think a lot of it is also that the jammers are in and out of the penalty box at the moment. I think they might be feeling a little bit fraught, and they're starting to push out of a comfort zone, and that's why they're starting to pick the penalties up, because it's cut track penalties.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that's really hurting Scotland right now, and especially putting your jammer in the box for that. It's really hard to stay on track when you're doing that. And
so we have a power jam situation on its way.
Penalty for Jonathan R. for Team USA. He will be headed to the penalty box, and the Scotland jammer will be coming back in.
So we'll see a switch from the penalty box right now.
So we have an opportunity for Scotland to try and reset, start out a new jam with a fresh jammer, and see if they can break through and score some points.
So Matheson has got the star cover on. He's going to be starting this power jam, but we have an official review that has been called. You can see Mistrial, the head referee from the inside, making a triangle symbol with the fingers. That is an official review that's been called. Once we have a little bit of feedback from there, we'll let you know exactly, but I think it's probably going to be a challenge on the call that was made on Team USA's jammer.
I guess so.
So Team Scotland now using this time to their advantage, having a huddle on the track, going to plan out what's going to happen next. They're going to be nervous going into this next jam. They've got a lot riding on it.
And it looks like Scotland taking the time during the timeout here to have a conversation on the line and see what they want their strategy to be coming into this. And, you know, either way, it looks like both teams are working hard and having a great time. And I know I've talked to several of the teams, and I haven't heard any negative feedback from anybody on this tournament so far. And I have to say it's running very smoothly, and I'm having a great time here with you, and I'm having a great time with everybody else I've announced with and the teams that I've met, and we're definitely excited about what's going to happen next year already. I think USA, of course, passed the 5-century mark at this point on the scoreboard. Scotland gearing up their team here, a huge crowd cheer.
I don't think it's just the Scottish fans here. I think everybody, even Team USA's fans, they're giving them a big hand because they know how much this means to them.
Well, and it's been really fun to watch. I mean, Team Japan coming in with, you know, how many, 6 or 8 players or something like that, you know, with nobody, and everybody's really excited about Team Japan here, and Team Japan just cannot figure out why everybody's so tickled about them, but they just come in and they were playing and having a great time and learning things, and it was just such a great atmosphere with them here, and they've been so gracious and so wonderful to everybody, and I'm really excited to see what kind of team they come up with here in a couple of years when they've started to build it up and get a little bit more going. So
absolutely, they completely humbled.
Oh yeah, and it's been, they just they have no idea why everybody's so excited that they're here, but it's just been so exciting having all kinds of new people here. Halftime of the Japan-Belgium bout is Japan 54, Belgium 105. 105, yep. So Japan 54, Belgium 165, pardon me. Power Jam Matheson for Scotland, challenge. So his derby name is Pudsey, and he is on the Power Jam, and we will see what Scotland comes up with.
My goodness, I have got ants in my hands. I can't sit still watching this.
This room is so loud right now, I cannot even explain to you. Matheson forcing his way forward, inching. Scotland not moving on the line. Oh, penalty call on the United States. It looks like, I'm going to say that is Peter Pan headed to the penalty box for pushing Matheson out. Matheson still struggling to get through that USA wall.
The USA team now just wasting time waiting for their jammer to get back on the track. Pushing him forward, he's out of play. They're through for the lead. Jammer, Team Scotland. He's down on his knees. My goodness, he's going to be happy about that.
Matheson calculating out what he wants to do next. Coming up. Oh!
First points on the board for Team Scotland. We're going to wait until he comes back out the other side of the pack before that is called.
Streak and Percy Control trying to keep him back, but they were unable to do so. Matheson pushing through, wanting to avoid the track cut. Well done there. Very carefully coming in behind Streak. Streak not quite able to hold him, and so he's going to push him. Matheson staying on his skates, doing a great job. Percy Control trying to help him out. Matheson dropping to the ground to keep from that track cut. Streak doing his best with Nick Becker to keep him out. Matheson giving a big push.
The arena goes silent as the USA jammer rejoins the pack.
Matheson pushing forward and trying to break free, and Percy Control is going to have to let him go.
Oh my goodness!
Team Scotland, 5 points here in the room. The crowd is going wild. The place sounds like it's just exploded. Matheson with 5 big points on the board for Team Scotland. This is the loudest it has been in this building all week. I hope everybody at home can still hear me. We have a penalty called once again on Jonathan R. Jonathan R. headed to the penalty box for Team USA, and Matheson circling the track, calling off that jam. We're going to start fresh again on another power jam for Scotland. Matheson, 5 big points for Scotland. Those of you in Scotland, I hope you are watching because this is incredible right here.
You can see how happy he was skating around the outside
If
there.
you're getting video, I can't see that you're seeing it on the video, but there is a Scotland dog pile in front of our announcing booth, which Matheson is at the bottom of. His team is so excited about those 5 points.
That was the most exciting jam I've experienced so far in this competition.
I agree completely, and we have a Let's Go Scotland cheer. Everybody, USA, Canada, all the different t-shirts screaming for Scotland and so excited for that jam. I just can't even imagine how thrilled people are with this. Everybody trying to calm it down a little bit so they can go into this next power jam, try and put a few more points on the board. but everybody in this room extremely excited right now about Scotland showing here at the Men's Roller Derby World Cup. Oh my goodness.
I think you can hear it in our voices, and I am physically shaking right now.
You know, I've announced some very exciting bouts, but I have to tell you that's the most exciting 5 points I've ever seen in roller derby.
I feel out of place sitting down right now because so many people behind us.
Well,
and around
I was
us
going to
are
say
standing.
we have a row of people behind us screaming, and a bunch of people in front of us. The only way I can see the track is because nobody in front of us is allowed to stand up so that we can see what's happening.
Thank goodness for that, eh?
So USA just called a timeout.
Just wanting a little bit of time to regroup
probably
and figure out what's going on.
Figure out a little bit of strategy there. And so looks like Jetter Jam is picking up the power jam for Scotland as he's going to come up against Magnum PIMP there at the front of the pack, Quadzilla.
It looks like Team Scotland are trying to use a bit of tactics to break up the packs by holding back, but they're going to be eligible for penalties. If that's the case, you want to break it down. Porky taking down one of the USA blockers on the inside there.
Oh! Jetter Jam, lead jammer for Team Scotland. Once again on the power jam while Jonathan R. sits in the penalty box. So Jetter Jam coming around the outside, trying to find a space, running into Corey Ackles. Jetter Jam getting pushed out, doesn't want the track cut. He is pushing hard against Magnum PIMP at the front of that pack. And they are spreading out. He's spreading it out as far as he can. Scotland slowing it way down. 5 big points for Jetter Jam as he comes around the track.
Pulls the jam off, picking up the 5 points. So we're going to be starting the next jam on a 3rd consecutive power jam for Team Scotland. The power of Scotland, the real Scrim Shady.
Well, that's what we're seeing here today, I think.
Absolutely.
And this is,
incredible.
Of course, the highest anybody scored against the U.S. so far. The most points anybody scored against Team USA so far this weekend. And I can't imagine them not being thrilled about that. The real Scrim Shady trying to find his hole, and Scotland working on pushing him through there. USA pushing him out. That would have been Peter Pan on the outside, and Brett staying backing way up and trying to force him in. It looks like Jonathan R. back on the track now for Team USA. So that is the end of that power jam for Team Scotland. But Team Scotland looking a little peppier in their step now as they come in against Team USA.
Yeah, I think as they were concentrating on getting their jammer through, they didn't realize Jonathan R. came back on. He was so quick through that pack, took full advantage of the split between the inside and outside lines of blockers, and picking up lead jam, and now back scoring 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, as we've seen so far up until this point.
So a little bit of a clog up there on the other side of the track, I guess is the best way to describe it. Jonathan R. coming out the other side of that with several more points, and it looks like the real Scrim Shady getting a push out, and it looks like a high block call on Sugar Boots, which is really easy to do when you're that tall. He is a tall dude off of skates. It just adds to it when you put him on a pair of skates. The real Scrim Shady getting a lot of abuse from Team USA, getting jumped in between Brett Stang and Peter Pan, who are, of course, on Your Mom Men's Roller Derby out of Des Moines together as teammates.
He's just bouncing off of the USA blockers, like from one to the other, like a pinball machine through the track.
Well, and, you know, Streak has always been really light on his feet. He's a very, you know, quick skater, fast on his feet, and he's gotten a lot more physical in his game recently. It looks like we had a star pass that happened. Star pass Duke Jukum, and it looks like that bout, or that jam is over, and Duke Jukum getting a big hit from Peter Pan, but Peter Pan, you know, making sure he was okay before he headed off the track as the whistle head started to blow.
That's the thing with roller derby, regardless of whether it's men's games or women's games, you fight hard on the track. At the end of the day, you shake hands, you give each other a hug, well, and you're good friends. You go out for a drink at the end of the day.
Yeah, and definitely nobody wants anyone getting seriously hurt no matter what team they're on, and so we're all trying to avoid that, you know, really carefully. Nobody wants anybody getting a serious injury, and we've seen a couple of them today, or excuse me, this weekend already, but nobody wants that to happen, so.
So we're seeing a battle of the number 9s off of the jammer line there. It's WK Deed for Scotland. Number 9 for, it's Frank not so hot. Getting my words out. I'm still reeling from the excitement of the past few jams.
Oh, Frank Not So Hatra almost getting tripped up in number 57 from Team Scotland, Jaffa Skates, and he manages to sneak past that, and I think we have Percy control in the penalty box.
Yeah.
WKD, no pass, no penalty, but he is out of the pack and started on his way to the back of the pack, and Frank Not So Hot, we're going to wait till he gets there, waste a little time on the clock, and then call off that jam. So.
True to form, I think the Americans have done that with the majority of the games that they've been playing. They've been watching the jammers, making them work hard to get to the back of the pack and then cutting them off.
And it's a very smart strategy to keep an eye on. It's really hard to lose track of that other jammer when you're focused so hard on getting through that pack. And so a really smart thing for jammers to learn is to figure out where that other jammer is and keep your eye on him. Matheson, of course, with those big scores earlier up against Scott Slamilton. He's going to try and shove his way through the pack. Scott Slamilton having a rough time getting past that Scotland wall. Wow. Manages to, along the edge of his skates on the outside line, get through and pick up lead jammer.
He was riding the rope around the outside there. Quite a considerable difference in height between these two jammers. I think slight advantage of being a little bit smaller, Scott Slamilton really managing to break up those holes, now coming for playing the offense and the defense there at the front of the back. Jammer on jammer action down the straightaway.
Of course, Scott Slamilton, the last time we saw this, forcing the penalty on the other player. So keeping that in mind, you do not want that track cut off of Scott Slamilton, and Slamilton letting it go finally and waiting for Percy Control to get out of the box. And so wasting a little bit of time to get his player out of the box before he heads out again, and that jam is over. Looks like we have, well, oh, it looks like Scotland scored an extra point as they were coming around.
My goodness, I couldn't quite work out what happened there.
I couldn't figure out what had happened. It was on the other side of the track from us, and everybody kind of went wild again, and Scotland looks like they snuck past while Team USA was changing up their penalty player and got that extra point. So 11 points for Scotland now on the board. TJ Binkley once again out to jam.
Tequila Jammer struggling to find that back line.
TJ Binkley in the box, power jam, Team Scotland on Tequila.
Oh my goodness.
Tequila breaking free for Team Scotland. Lead jammer Tequila, Team Scotland.
That was never picked up by Team USA, so it's still open to be called.
Cut track call on TJ Binkley, who is sitting in the penalty box for Team USA. Tequila, lead jammer for Team Scotland, looking to make some extra points and close that point differential up. Team USA working hard to keep him from doing so.
They're keeping him tight to the inside line because they know that once he starts to roll, rather than being on his toe stops, he's breaking that inside line through for 5 points. Oh my goodness, he is so psyched about that. Tequila Jammer, absolutely thrilled, keeping that momentum going on the track. He's down on his knees.
So Brett Stang in the penalty box for Team USA. Right after Brett Stang headed to the penalty box, Tequila picking up 5 more points and now picking up another Grand Slam. So 10 big points on the board for Tequila of Team Scotland.
Oh my goodness, I hope you can hear the crowds in here.
Oh my goodness, 5 more points for Tequila, sneaking past the front of the pack there. What looked like Percy Control, if I am not mistaken, and he just snuck past him and picked up 5 more points, so 26 more points for Scotland. Tequila having to recycle to the back of the pack, and he will call off that jam, and they will try and get a couple more rounds in on this power jam. We have a very loud crowd, in case you can't hear that at home, here in the futsal arena in Birmingham, England, at this very first men's roller derby World Cup, and people are freaking out. That is the best way I can describe that.
This is an incredible bout. This is the most excited I have ever been.
Yeah, this is a pretty big thrill. I can tell you right now that I'm looking behind me. I have Team Canada, I have Wales, I have England, I have a ton of people standing behind me from all different teams. Oh my goodness. Scotland lead jammer on this power jam. That is Duke Jukum. And it is 30-57, Team Scotland. He is coming up against Team USA on the front. They're not able to hold him.
Team USA jamming out. Binkley re-entering the pack behind WKD.
Brett Stang not able to hold him, trying to team up with Sugar Boots now to see if they can do that. Looks like Brett Stang backing way up, and we have a penalty call on TJ Binkley once again from the US. That is a back block call on TJ Binkley. So the power jam for Scotland will continue here in the arena. Duke Jukum coming up against Corey Ackles and Sugar Boots, and they are going to try and keep him from scoring, but he is going to push forward.
Straight out of the box. He was on the track for 10 seconds maybe. The back block occurred, and he was right back out again. So the Scottish fans going
and
crazy.
For, you know, and I don't know how it looks at home, but it is really wild on that track right now. There are a lot of things flying around. There's a lot of arms, legs, elbows, and so it's becoming really easy for that kind of thing to happen. And now people are allowed. It looks like we have a star pass that happened.
Jaffa Skates has picked up 5 points with the helmet cover on now.
And he is going to pick up 5 more points for Scotland. That star pass, brilliantly executed. I don't like the star pass as a general rule myself, but that was just a brilliant example of what the star pass should be.
I agree.
And it worked perfectly for what they needed it to. So they got their 5 points. Jaffa Skates rolling around Peter Pan. Peter Pan looking for the track cut, and it looks like they're going to give it to him. And so penalty for Team Scotland, but they did pick up a lot of extra points. It looks like 40 points for Team Scotland. So our final, I'm going to say this is our final score, Panda, 557-40, but that is the most points anybody has scored this weekend against Team USA.
Absolutely. The Scottish team are going to hold that in high esteem moving forward. Just a quick shout out. We've missed us a little bit through all the excitement. Quad Skate Shop sponsoring our penalty box and our other track here at the Men's Roller Derby World Cup. The Europe's original brick and mortar roller derby equipment supplier, Quad Roller Skate Shop, has the best selection and most stock of any store on the continent, with excellent consultation services only a fellow skater could provide. We've got all your needs covered. We love this game!
And so do we, I think. I think everybody in this room loves this game right now. My name is Julia Childless, alongside Pandemonium here. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everybody on this track. We are signing out. Everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you at the next bout.
Thank you.
You are just coming to us now here on day 2 of the Men's Roller Derby World Cup. You can probably still hear in the background the reaction from the Roller Derby City track. All of that noise being made at the moment for Team Scotland, the little team that came out and took some points back in the dying minutes of their bout against Team USA. And a phenomenal reaction from the fans. I was here in the middle where we are here, looking across at the other track, which was on half time. Fans from the other track were cheering the track over here. That's how much power that moment had. It was incredible and beautiful to see. With me at the moment is Beat Monkey. He's our blogger, and he's been getting all the material coming out to you from the mrdwc.com blogs. It's been coming from you, including the now somewhat infamous, is it 12 Beards?
12 Beards are rocking the MRDWC, yeah.
There it was, which has become a hashtag now, I believe, as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Beat, I want to ask you can you give me just 1 or 2 highlights of the tournament for you so far?
This just now, definitely a highlight. I was sat right down in the corner, and as soon as we realised we were starting on a power jam, and I think there's only 2 American blockers on the track as well, everybody just took to their feet and they were willing him on. It seemed like it took forever to get past. I think it was Streak and Becca were the final 2 blockers, and time just seemed to stand still. It was incredible, like really, really willing them on. And he got through, got lead, loudest cheer I've heard all day. Comes around, gets us that first point. I think the American blocker went down, so he got the point for the down blocker. And yeah, the place just erupted. It was incredible, yeah.
That's awesome. And thinking about the tournament as a whole, are there any themes that you've seen developing in terms of the crowd reaction and how it feels to be a fan here? Is there anything that's coming out for you?
Yeah, definitely this underdog thing, and I've spoken to quite a lot of fans who are saying it's a typical English attitude of supporting the Bulldog, but there are more than English fans here. There are fans from all over Europe, all over the world. Every single one of them is really getting behind those teams that we didn't expect to do so well, or the surprise packages like Argentina earlier today as well. That was another big kind of underdog moment, and the Japanese, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. All those teams really showing what they can do and showing the development of the sport globally. Looking forward to the rest of day 2 and day 3. What are the things you're really looking forward to seeing now?
I think for me it's going to be England and France tomorrow in the semi-final. Just the history between the two countries. I mean, a lot of the skaters have faced each other at the European Championships the past 2 years and in various bouts that they've arranged between their own leagues. So I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how the best of both of those countries do against each other.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for all the blogs going out. You can see Beat Monkey's blogs going out on mrdwc.com. Have a look on there on a regular basis. Keep an eye on our Facebook and on our Twitter feeds going out. I will leave you with a quick little Mon the Scots. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.